With the new year underway, the 2024 election season is about to get into full swing, and it's going to be a busy year in Montana politics. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian takes a closer look at some of the key races Montana voters will be considering this year.
2024 is here, and the political calendars have lined up to create one of the most crowded election years Montana has seen, from races for the top state offices to a campaign expected to be one of the most closely watched nationwide.
It's a packed dance card for sure.
Rob Saldin, a political science professor at the University of Montana, says it's clear which election is going to get the most attention, both within the state and nationwide. The race for the U.S. Senate seat Jon Tester has held since 2007. Tester, a Democrat from Big Sandy, has successfully outrun Democratic presidential candidates in the past, and he may need to do that again in a state Donald Trump won heavily in 2020. There may still be a contested primary to determine which Republican will face Tester. Gallatin County businessman and Navy veteran Tim Sheehy entered the race in June. He's advertised heavily and gotten support from Republican leaders like Governor Greg Gianforte and Senator Steve Daines. But while Congressman Matt Rosendale hasn't formally said he'll run for Senate, he says he's heavily considering getting into the race. Former Montana Secretary of State Brad Johnson has also announced a run for the GOP nomination. Saldin says conventional wisdom has been that a heated primary would harm a party's eventual nominee in the general election. But he said a primary might not be all bad, especially for a newcomer like Sheehy.
I actually think a lot of the time it's not necessarily a bad thing to get battle tested a little bit in the primary.
Saldin says with the intense national attention on this race, the state could again see unprecedented levels of spending.
It's going to be unlike anything we've seen. And what that translates into, money coming in, that means advertisements. So yeah, get ready. We've only begun.
2024 will be the second election since Montana got back its second seat in the U.S. House, and the two House races are shaping up very differently. In the Western District, we could see a rematch, as Republican Congressman Ryan Zinke again faces a challenge from Democratic attorney Monica Tranel. The Eastern District seat, currently held by Rosendale, may be open, and 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats have already filed campaign finance paperwork.
One reason why I think it seems really likely that Rosendale is going to go for the Senate is because clearly all these Republicans have launched their own campaigns, and they would not be doing that if they thought Rosendale was going to stick around in that Eastern District.
While Republican Governor Greg Gianforte hasn't formally announced he's running for a second term in 2024, Saldin says it would be very surprising if he didn't seek re-election, and he's likely to start in a strong position if he does run.
If you win that first term, you have a really good shot. I mean, take all other considerations off the table. You got a really good shot at winning the second term if you want it.
Democrat Ryan Busse, a former firearms executive and now author and activist, is already campaigning and criticizing Gianforte on issues like property taxes. Tanner Smith, a state representative from Lakeside, is the only Republican who's launched a campaign for governor so far. There will also be 2 open seats on the Montana Supreme Court, including the Chief Justice position. The races are officially nonpartisan, but Saldin says partisan dynamics have emerged in some recent elections. And it's an open question what influence that could have this year.
This is a nonpartisan election, and so you don't have that queue right there on the ballot next to the name Republican, Democrat. You actually have to have picked that up and retained that information.
The official candidate filing period in Montana runs from January 11th to March 11th. So that's when we'll get the final picture on how the fields in some of these races are going to shape up. Stay with MTN and we'll have all the coverage from now through Election Day. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.